and welcome to My Career in Data, a podcast where we discuss with industry leaders and experts how they have built their careers. I'm your host, Shannon Kemp, and today we're talking to Shree Periakaruppan from the American College of Radiology.
With a robust catalog of courses offered on demand and industry-leading live online sessions throughout the year, the DATAVERSITY Training Center is your launchpad for career success. Browse the complete catalog at training.dataversity.net and use code DVTalks for 20% off your purchase.
Hello and welcome. My name is Shannon Kemp, and I'm the Chief Digital Officer at DATAVERSITY, and this is My Career in Data, a DATAVERSITY Talks podcast dedicated to learning from those who have careers in data management, to understand how they got there, and to talk with people who help make those careers a little bit easier. To keep up to date in the latest in data management education, go to dataversity.net/subscribe. Today, we are joined by Shree Periakaruppan, the head of data engineering and analytics from the American College of Radiology. And normally, this is where a podcast host would read a short bio of the guest. But in this podcast, your bio is what we're here to talk about. Shree, hello and welcome.
Hi, Shannon. First of all, I want to thank you, Shannon, and the entire DATAVERSITY team for inviting me to share my journey and ACR's journey through this podcast.
So grateful for you to be here. I was just telling you, and I'll tell everybody listening to the podcast, I will hear your story as many times as I possibly can. You are doing such cool things, and it's with the American College of Radiology and AI. It's so impressive. We just, you gave a talk recently, thank you, for at AI Governance Online in October. Right. I can put the link up there so people can go still register to hear your talk, the recording of it. It's so good. It's so impressive. But before I, tell your story, so I just get excited about it. Let me ask you the questions so you can share it in your own words. Okay, so let's start here. You are the head of data engineering and analytics from the American College of Radiology. So tell me, for those who may not know, what type of business and who is the American College of Radiology?
Okay, American College of Radiology, I would I'd probably refer to this as ACR, is a membership-based organization, but our mission goes far beyond that. Our purpose is simple, but it's powerful: to serve patients and society by empowering our members to advance the practice, science, and professions of radiological care. We've been around for more than 100 years, and today represent about 41,000 members, including radiologists, radiation oncologists, and medical physicists. Even though we are a membership-based organization, one of our largest and most impactful business is accreditation. If you've ever walked into a radiology facility to get a CT, MRI, or any other imaging study, that scanner has to be accredited every 3 years. And that's an FDA mandate. ACR is the primary organization providing that accreditation across the US. So in many ways, we are almost a monopoly in that space. Beyond accreditation, we are deeply involved in clinical research, AI validation, and continuing medical education. And we also operate one of the largest medical imaging data hubs in the country. We collect imaging data from more than 39,000 sites, and that's roughly 5 terabytes of new data every month. And our total data assets are now approaching a petabyte. So while ACR is known as a professional society, behind the scenes, it's a data-rich, tech-driven organization at the heart of medical imaging innovation.
That is so cool. It's a lot of data, a lot of images.
Right.
Yes. So as the head of data engineering and analytics, what is it that you do?
So I lead, apart from the head of data engineering and analytics, I also lead the chief data office at the ACR. And I actually built the team from ground up. My role involves overseeing all things data, from data engineering to analytics to business intelligence, data governance, data operations, DBAs, everything, the whole 9 yards, every data function. I'm also responsible for setting and driving the overall data strategy for the organization. On the engineering side, my team builds and manages ACR's enterprise data platforms, the core infrastructure that allows us to collect, store, analyze all these massive amount of healthcare and imaging data. Our analytics team works closely with the business and clinical partners to turn that data into insights, helping answer some key business questions, drive decisions, and improve outcomes. Ultimately, our goal is to make ACR's data work for everyone, enabling our researchers, policymakers, and radiologists to use data effectively for everything from improving clinical quality to shaping the national health policy.
Mm, so impressive. And how do you work with data in your job? I mean, obviously there's a lot of data you're collecting, and so you're doing all these things, but how are you working with it?
Okay, that's a great question. I often say my team considers ourselves data doctors or data physicians. Just like doctors care for patients, we care for data. We live, breathe, analyze, and when needed, cure data. It's our responsibility to make sure the organization can truly trust and use its data to make better decisions. Um, we take our roles real seriously. Being strong data advocates is central to building a data driven culture across the company. That means keeping data quality, observability, governance all at the forefront of everything that we build. And honestly, working with data today is like far more complex than it used to be. The volume and variety of data, especially imaging and clinical data, are massive, and the structures are increasingly sophisticated, right? So it's a constant learning journey for all of us, but that's what makes it truly exciting.
When I first met you, we had a little conversation about how you're using AI to learn what's in the images.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Oh, yeah. So, ACR is part of a complete AI lifecycle. We are part of every part of the lifecycle, right from the time the algorithm is created to like monitoring and governing of that algorithms. ACR is involved in like every piece of it. So let me ask you a question. There are about 39,000 facilities in the United States that we are connected to. Out of the facilities, what percentage of these facilities do you think have some sort of AI running in their at their facility?
Gosh, in healthcare, that would be most of them, I would think.
Yeah, that's about 86%. It used to be like 58% 2 years ago. So now
Wow.
almost everybody is like kind of using AI.
Yeah.
And you might be wondering if they're using it for like cancer detection, or for what kind of use cases. I think the majority of the use cases is for triaging. That is, let's say a patient comes in. When we go in to get our mammogram done or to get any of those procedures done, it usually takes 2 or 3 days for us to get the radiology report. But let's say there is a person who coming in with a intracranial hemorrhage, which is like bleeding in the brain, which is a very critical disease, right? So, or a very critical condition. So that particular patient's records will be pushed up, or they'll be triaged up in the front for the radiologist to read it first. So we use AI for that. So most of the time, AI is used for that. And another use case, where a non-imperative use case where AI is going to be used, is for hanging protocols. What I mean by that is, a few years ago, when you used to walk into a radiologist's office, they used to have that film, and they used to place that on like a black light, and they would then compare the images. So to bring the right images, the right viewing setting, all of that can be automated. So all of this is done through AI. So a lot of AI is already being used, and for cancer detection, it's slowly getting adopted. And ACR provides a platform. We have something called as AI Central, where it's more like a Yelp for radiology. So we bring all the FDA approved algorithms. There's over 1,000 of them. We work with the various vendors, and we create something called as I mean, very similar to that of a nutrition label, like a food nutrition label. We create that for the AI. So the chief medical officer or a radiologist, when they want to procure an AI for their site, they could come to AI Central and they can learn all about how that particular AI algorithm was developed and what is going to work for them, what is the specificity or sensitivity, and all of those details will be there. So it'll help them easily understand what kind of algorithm might work best for them, or what models might work best for them. And not only that, we also provide like a platform called AI Lab, where the various sites don't need to procure like additional talent to run these algorithms locally to basically validate. So we also help with that process. And once these algorithms are deployed, we constantly monitor the performance of the algorithm. So we do this for the industry. So for all the sites that have AI in them and they have registered with us, we already have a piece of code running in 39,000 sites. So we can collect the AI results, we can collect the radiology report. We use the radiology report as a ground truth. We compare how the AI is performing, and we basically provide the concordance or the discordance rate back to the site. We can tell the site how well is your algorithm performing versus how well as compared to that of the national average. Because we do this, we are also able to provide some sort of like accreditation for AI. So we can constantly monitor the AI. We can give people the confidence that this AI is not being monitored, right? So we are constantly monitoring the AI so they can get that certification from ACR. So that's all on the industry side. But even within ACR, when we collect the medical images, we have to do a lot of pixel cleaning. Right, we have to cleanse the pixels for any PHI before using that data for any kind of research purposes. So we also use AI internally to cleanse the medical images. It used to be like a manual task where we used to have like 10 people constantly looking at these images, going in and cleaning the images. Now we have AI doing that. So a lot has happened in the past 4-5 years.
So cool. Well, thank you for sharing that. It's so amazing.
Visit dataversity.net and expand your knowledge with thousands of articles and blogs written by industry experts, plus free live and on-demand webinars covering the complete data management spectrum. While you're there, subscribe to the weekly newsletter so you'll never miss a beat.
Well, let's talk a little bit, Shree, about how you got into working with AI and doing such cool things with it, and data in general. So tell me, let's back it up here.
Okay.
When you were like, say, 6 years old, what was the dream? Did you say, I'm going to grow up and I am going to be, the head of data engineering and analytics? Or what was the dream when you were 6?
Not exactly. But when I was 6 years old, I would not say 6 years old. I would probably say when I was like 10 years old, I walked into my dad's office. My dad, he's no more, but he was like a nuclear scientist. He was a nuclear scientist. So the place where he worked had large computers, like mainframe systems. So when I was 10 years old, I walked into a data center. That was the day that I thought that I'd need to be in the field of computers. That day I decided. So I always wanted, like very young age, I learned computer science throughout my life, throughout my middle school, high school. It's always been, I love writing algorithms and things like that. So that's since that day.
I
was always, thinking about computers, but not exactly. Not growing up, I didn't imagine that I would take the head of data engineering or head of data or chief data officer, whatever that is. It didn't even exist back then, right? But once I started working in the computers, I always considered myself a data person at heart. I mean, over the years, I've worked in just about every data role that you can think, starting from a DBA, a data analyst, an engineer, a data engineer, an architect, I think which has given me a strong hands-on foundation and a deep appreciation for how data truly works. Okay,
Mhm.
and I was always curious about problem solving and understanding how systems connect and function with each other. And over time, that curiosity evolved into a passion for using data to create real-world impact, especially in healthcare, where the outcomes can directly affect patient lives. So,
Ah,
so
that's
that's
very
my
cool.
story.
Let's walk through some of that. And I love that you mentioned curiosity, that it's become the common thread amongst all data practitioners, that that need to just learn more. I love, okay, so this is very cool. I have flashbacks of movies, where, with the large mainframes and, so that's very, very
Yeah, I
cool.
was so tiny in front of all of those big machines. it was
Yeah,
it was amazing. I mean that's
sure.
still really clear in my mind. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. So you go and you study, you go and study, and then what's your first job, in
Ah,
data? Where did you start?
so the first job was a software engineer. So that's where everybody kind of starts. So there was only one software engineer, and then while I was working as a software engineer itself, I was working a lot with the data for more
Mhm.
like, I would say more on the middle tier than the UI, right? So that's how I moved into the data systems, and over time, took on roles that blended technology with like data strategy, but mostly on how to store the data, how to partition the data, and things like that. Even in like 2007, I would say we were one of the first ones who created 10,000 tables, partitions, so in a single table. So that's like even unheard of. So those are the kind of things when you deal with like big data problems, you really have to think really differently. And along the way, I realized that success in data isn't just about the tools. It's really about the people and the process. And that mindset shaped how we built even like ACR's data modernization roadmap. We started by investing in the right people, then focus on refining our processes, and only then bought in the right technology to tie all of it together. Um, I'd also say I've also made it a point to continuously learn and evolve. I earned multiple data certifications early in my career, later completed AI courses, including a few from the great Google Scholars, pursued cloud certifications, and most recently also received my Chief Data and AI Officer certification from Carnegie Mellon University.
Oh,
So it's
congrats.
been a journey of constant learning, and that's what keeps it exciting, I guess.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. So man, it's that's quite the career path, and constant learning. And I love that you don't just you stay idle and don't just like, okay, I've got this degree.
I'm
It's
still hands on
yeah, yeah,
sometimes. Not that people want me to be, but I just love that,
yeah,
being
yeah.
able to do so.
So tell me, Shree, what's been your biggest lesson so far in your career?
Ha, there's been so much, but I think the biggest lesson is that technology alone doesn't solve problems. People do. I think it's all about people. That's my biggest learning any day. I'll tell people every day, any day. The most successful data initiatives are the ones that align culture, skills, and collaboration. Only then focus on platforms or tools. It's easy to get caught up in building the next great shiny data platform, but if it's not directly tied to a real business problem, adoption will drop off quickly. I've learned that you have to start by understanding what matters the most to the business. Solve that problem first, and while solving that problem, design your data platform in a way that can support future needs. Ultimately, yeah, data modernization is just not an engineering project, it's an organizational transformation. That is my biggest learning.
Very, very nice. And it's a great lesson, and one so important. I've looked up, what's the most important skill set for a chief data officer, and it's communication.
Yep.
Yeah, just being able to understand what the business is saying and being able to communicate what you're doing.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah. So, tell me, so having worked with data for so long and being so passionate about it for most of your life, what is your definition of data?
Ooh, okay.
Mhm.
For me, data is a story waiting to be understood.
Mm,
Okay.
I like
It's not just numbers or the number of records, it's the context, the pattern, the signals that, when connected, can help drive better decisions and outcomes. I often say that data without context is like a sentence missing its meaning. That's why I'm not a big fan of calling something just a report or a dashboard, right? When you present numbers without the story behind them, you often end up with more confusion than clarity because people would interpret that same data differently depending on their perspective. So, to me, the real power of data lies in the narrative, understanding why something is happening, not just what is happening.
I love that, the why. Um, yeah, because I've heard a lot of definitions, and that's, I love the way that you put that, because data and context is, I've heard quite a bit, but um, that really helps to focus it in. Um, so, Shree, do you see the importance of data management and the number of jobs working with data increasing or decreasing over the next 10 years, and why?
Oh, definitely increasing. And not just in tech companies. I think every organization today is becoming data driven in some way. What's changing is the focus. We are shifting from people who are moving the data around manually to people who can enable insights, apply AI responsibly, and maintain data quality and governance. Right? How we're doing that is changing. So the nature of the work will definitely evolve, but the demand for skilled data professionals will absolutely grow. No doubt about that. A lot of people worry that AI will replace jobs, but I don't believe that. AI won't replace people, but people who know how to use AI will. So that's the mantra. The future
Ah,
belongs to those who can combine data literacy, curiosity, and ethical AI understanding to drive real impact.
yeah, I could not agree more. Um, yeah, it helps enhance and drive efficiency
Mhm.
into our roles. So, what advice would you give to people looking to get into a career in data management?
Start with curiosity. That's the number one lesson, not tools. Learn how data really flows through the organization, why governance and quality matter, and how the insights are going to create value. The tools will change, technology will change, but the fundamentals of understanding data and its purpose will still remain the same. I'd say always, start with the problem that you're trying to solve. And I'll ask why that matters the most to the business. So, does it help increase the top line, which is the revenue, decrease the bottom line, which is the cost, or does it improve customer satisfaction? It has to be one of the three. Absolutely. Cannot be anything else. That context is critical because without it, even the best data solution won't make an impact.
So true. And data is at the heart of all three of those things.
Sure, it is.
It is.
Yeah. And one more I would say is be adaptable. You have to be adaptable. The data landscapes evolves fast. When I started my career, none of this existed. New
Yeah.
technologies, new paradigms, new challenges. But if you keep in the mindset of continuous learning and curiosity, you'll always
Yeah.
stay ahead.
I mean, just like you say, in 2 years, it's, you know, medical practices have gone from, what did you say, 56 to 83% use of AI.
86, yeah.
That
Yep.
is crazy.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. It's evolving so quickly, but I love that, to keep centered in the things that are important, the fundamentals of why we're doing all this. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Oh, Shree, thank you so much for taking the time. If anybody wanted to, reach out or, find out more about what you're doing, where could they go?
Connect with me on LinkedIn.
Love it.
Send me a note and send me the note with a purpose. Anything that says, "Hi Shree, I want to connect," will not work. But if you really have a problem and you'd really like to discuss, so provide context. We can definitely talk.
Very cool. And we'll get that posted on the podcast page as well. Shree, thank you so much for taking the time to connect today.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And it's always a pleasure talking to you and to the DATAVERSITY folks. So thank you very much for the opportunity.
Oh, likewise. Thank you. And to all of our listeners out there, if you'd like to keep up to date on the latest in data management and the latest in podcasts, and you may go to dataversity.net/subscribe. Until next time, stay curious, everyone. Thank you for listening to DATAVERSITY Talks, a podcast brought to you by DATAVERSITY. Subscribe to our newsletter for podcast updates and information about our free educational webinars at dataversity.net/subscribe.